Hey guys, this is Dardamos with Dardamos Dominions, and once again, I am joined by my co-host. Say hi, Gazlov.
How's it going?
Grippa. Nice to have you again. Grippa. Oh, we lost him. Maz, how are you doing?
Good.
And it's I'm sorry, is it Missourian, right?
That's how I always say it. It's like Dominions, though, right? It's who really knows?
Okay, excellent. Nosy, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Now,
Have a
Maz,
thing.
we're going to hit your message first. Can you give me a TLDR of your message?
Let's see here. So this sort of touches on what we talked about in another episode, where Pan possibly, was running a little lean on leadership. I was probably a little too heavy here. So I was running 2 leaders, which I think now is excessive. Yeah, because I didn't want to get stranded if someone ran back to the rear and hit him, basically. That's basically what I'm saying here.
Did Nosy, you went with one leader on yours. Would you go with a second leader?
For Pan, absolutely not. Firstly, with the Wind Riders, you can recruit 2 per turn, so at least it is an option. For me, I can only recruit 1 Centaur per turn. So, and the way I was doing mine, I was making an expansion party every single turn that way. So I wanted to be creating a new one every turn to, rack up 5, 6 expansions in a single turn, hopefully.
Okay. And then the Diplo part, Maz, what did you say on that part?
Basically, that I was willing to give him 1 land swamp province as long as he didn't get too aggressive with Dominion.
It's really interesting because he says that, from what you're saying, is that he doesn't want any more coastal land. When I played my underwater, I'm crazy aggressive because I have this knowledge that I can sit in the water and wave, and all that you can do is wave back. Like I can put my thumb on my forehead, wave my fingers at you, and there's nothing that you can really do back. Were you surprised that he didn't want more?
I suspected it'd be nice to have the player here to ask him, but my guess is he was probably in turtle mode just because, like me, he was probably a little bit intimidated by the player level. I don't mean me personally, but just the level of skill generally in this game. So if I had to guess, I'd say that was probably where his mind was.
Yeah, we do have RCK. He'll probably join us in one of the future episodes and hopefully get an idea of where he was on this. He's the one that won the first Omniscience game. And he did an amazing job, but I think that he is kind of like Gazlov, where he's more of a specialty player, where he's played a couple nations a whole lot in single player, and this was not one of them, I believe.
And I'll say this: I think, if I remember right, the Scalaria game, that was either his first or second game. I think it's first. And I think I've played with him since in a few games. I think, honestly, he's underestimating his ability a little bit. I think he attributes that win a little bit more to luck than maybe he should.
He should absolutely not attribute it to luck. That was in my opinion, he's one of the up and coming players. He is an amazing player at this point. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the future games. But let's move to you and Gazlov, because you're messaging this, and this is what I want to know. You sent messages to Gazlov in Discord, correct?
Yes, I did.
And he did not send anything back.
No, he didn't. Not at the time.
Gazlov, was that on purpose, or what was the ghosting?
Well, that's weird. Yeah, I'm gonna go back through our history here because I don't ghost people like that normally.
Okay.
So it may have been it just took a while for me to get the message, or I was busy from work or something. So
if I remember right, I think that was the case.
I know what happens sometimes for me is I'll get messages late at night when I'm in bed or whatever, and I'll see them on the phone, and it'll be read, and I go to sleep and whatever, and then the next day I've completely forgotten the message even happened.
Yeah. But just given the reputation Gaslov has going into this game, when I didn't get a response right away, I thought, oh, crap, here we go.
Yep. No response usually means they'll attack.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good indicator.
Grippa, do you ghost people?
I certainly try not to. I have a problem with people sometimes sending me messages when I'm at work. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll respond to this when I get home," and then I just completely forget. That has happened a couple of times, but I definitely do not try to ghost people as much as I can.
That's what last night I got a message from Novell at like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm just like, if my wife asked, I'm sleeping. Like I get messages when I was playing all the time at 3 or 4 in the morning because Nosy, you're on that unusual time zone with me, right?
Yeah, we're in the future.
We're in the future. We get cyberpunk first.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you, Nosy, when do you usually do your diplomacy?
In the afternoons or later at night for me, because that's when I'm online. Otherwise, I'm sleeping or I'm at work usually.
That's one of the things I enjoyed playing games with you because part of the reasons why I had to get out of the Dominion scene was that I'm on this weird time zone and I'd be diploing all day long. Nosy, do you usually like have a time frame that you like limit your Dominion's diplo to, or is it just whenever?
It's just whenever. Like, if I'm at work, I'll maybe do a little bit on a lunch break or something like that. But I don't use the phone during the middle of the workday.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just when I'm at home on the computer, I'll do the diplo then.
Grippo, when you're at work, do you diplo?
Sometimes when I'm able to text
Okay.
on Discord, doesn't go well typically. It's usually bad diplo, but it happens.
Yeah, so I went through this, and I realized that my reputation for bad diplomacy precede me, and I do apologize for that. It does look like I maybe missed your message, but yeah, if I were you, I could definitely see that was kind of menacing.
That's hilarious.
I didn't mean to do that.
No. Hey, and nothing to apologize for. I mean, it's a perfectly valid play style to be aggressive.
Speaking of Diplo, I have my diplomat with me. Hey, Vish, how are you doing, dude?
Hello, I'm quite good, thank you. I finally got here.
I'm so excited, dude. I've never actually heard. I mean, we've been playing for what, a year and a half together, and I've never heard your voice.
Yeah, it's definitely been a year and a half, and we've never got a call together.
Now, Vish, when you're doing Diplo, have you ever ghosted anybody?
Yes, when I don't think they'll like my answer very much.
I remember the first time that you and I talked, I was, you were looking from a nat 3 for me, and I was literally putting in my attack orders as you're doing it. I can't ghost anybody. It feels wrong, and so I had to dance around. Oh, well, maybe talk to me in a couple turns about whether, you want that nap or not. As I'm putting in the attack orders, you ghost people if you don't like, or if you think they won't like their answers, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly, because if I try dance around it, then it'll look a bit suspicious.
How long do you wait until you're like, this guy is absolutely going to attack me?
Well, usually I can see people moving their armies, so you can kind of tell.
So let's move into okay, so we're on the second message. Okay. This is from Marverni. Nosy, do you want to read this off?
Found Pan, me. And we got a conversation going as we do. Then that stops dead silent as soon as I mention discussing borders. Bad sign, but oh well.
This is so cool. I love that we've got everybody here.
I didn't want to commit to borders, I have to say, but that actually wasn't me specifically ghosting him. That was actually one of those situations where the message came through late at night and I didn't remember about it when I woke up in the morning. I had it as read, so And we did end up discussing that point a day or two later. But
So we have some duplicity. Nosy, can you read the next sentence?
I tried to get Van to join a coalition. He's slightly more receptive. That said, Gasloff is very sure of his Van plays, so it's possible he's trying to fake me out.
Gazlov, what you were talking to Joe Brandon, and were you giving him any deception?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was lying to him the whole time because he was going to be my number one target. I mean, he, in my opinion, he was the biggest threat to my nation in the game.
Vish, how much do you lie when you're doing Diplo?
Whenever it's necessary, really. But I don't lie for no reason. Otherwise, I think it can kind of backfire on you.
How so?
Because people will know you're untrustworthy and attack you. I think when I bump into people I know who are untrustworthy, I try to attack them.
Grippa, what's your thoughts on being truthful in Diplo?
I struggle lying to people. I feel bad about backstabbing a lot of things, and I felt bad about editing naps before, and it has actually affected games sometimes. I've learned to be more like, hey, gonna do it anyway, and so far I've pissed people off by doing that. But in any case, see, I play with a lot of the same people in a lot of games, and it feels weird because I don't want to be that a-hole in one game, and then be like next game like, hey, want to be a partner for something? So,
Well, Grippa, you want to know who he was forming a coalition against?
I'm gonna take a wild guess. And damn it,
you. So you shouldn't feel too bad.
Oh wait, Gaslov, you were trying to form a coalition against me?
No, he was trying to form a coalition with me against you.
Son of a gun! I gave him that province and everything. No, but I mean, fair, I guess. I was Yomi. You got that going for you. But with the elves, Joe Brandon, I'm disappointed.
I think from Joe's point of view, it was more that he'd rather not be the one to be fighting Van first up. So being in a friendly coalition is it means that he's not the one on the receiving end of it.
You're not wrong, and that's why I was trying to be very nice to Helheim early on. And be like, you want to attack somebody? And I was also trying to be nice to Ubar, and then Nosy actually came to me with, hey, you want to fight Ubar? And I'm like, I could do that. And then you cut me off from Ubar entirely, and I couldn't attack them. But that's a separate story.
No, you had another path through.
That was with the Joe Brandon stuff.
No, Nosy, kind of bringing back to this whole nap. You're one of the I remember from the games I played with you, your ending naps are probably one of the classiest ways. How do you end naps knowing that you're going to be playing in other games, possibly at the same time with these players?
Oh, wow, I didn't think my nap ending was anything particularly special. But all I do is do an in-game message saying that, I'm going to be ending the nap. I might give some reasons why and try and clarify the turns when attack orders can be made and received.
Do you ever get anybody that gets offended by ending naps?
No, I don't think I have. I think usually people take it about as well as they will. But mine are usually done through in-game messages, just because of the way turns work. I want them to have the full turn to respond to the ending of the nap. I want it to be something where I send it through Discord when they've already played their turn and all that sort of stuff. I don't want any confusion around that side of things.
Matt, have you ever had any disagreements over what a nap 3 means?
No. I try to stick to the same policy that Nosy has. One thing I'll add, though, I noticed that in Lucid's games, I noticed that he takes the time to try and make, a little joke about ending the nap. I find that keeps things sort of in the right mindset in terms of being kind of lighthearted. This is a game. We want to play it seriously, but at the end of the day, I like it better than just, going to war with someone in just stone cold silence if you don't have an app with them. And I like it better than just, in unironic, the game state demands that I start war with you now. It's just something that I noticed Lucid does. It's something that I've tried to pick up when players put the time into it and come up with something actually funny when they break naps with me in the same way. I appreciate it. It's one of those things that I hope becomes kind of a Dominion's cultural thing, kind of like the way we have these irreverent pretender names and prophet names. I'd love to see it take root like that.
Nosy, this message is from you. Do you want to give me a TLDR?
It was mostly covering the Diplo at the start, where I think one of the game requirements was letting you know all the Diplo we do, and for a few nations it was just a simple hello there, hi neighbor. Adding the point in there that so long as people are actively communicating, it seems to reduce the chances of people attacking you or being their first target.
I would like to caveat that by saying that Nosy, you are an agreeable person. Part of that I think is that you need to also be a good diplomat. When you meet with people, do you normally come bearing gifts? Are you the Roman coming bearing gifts when you meet people, or how do you disarm them?
That assumes that I need to disarm them, which I don't think is the case in this game. Now, if I happen to board a van at the start, I mean, I don't expect I'd be a priority target for him, but I mean, maybe they'd be sending of a single gem and saying peace between nations or something like that. But for the most part, I don't do things to try and encourage peace as such. It's just hi neighbor, and how's it going? How's the early game? Any news on the other side?
Gaslop, how often do you actively talk to people and try to strike up, if not even for a nap 3, but just in general?
I'll oftentimes say hi to my neighbors just to kind of get a feeling on if they're going to be cold or not. And the thing I'm always watching out for are coalitions, and generally the first, even smallest sign of aggression will get me to immediately invade them. Because I don't.
Keep going.
Oh yeah, I just don't want to be. I'm trying to take out potential 2v1s as early as I can.
Vish, how often, or how do you avoid being coalitioned?
I don't think there's a good way to avoid it other than making yourself seem less threatening.
Oh, I disagree.
How do you get yourself to be less threatening?
I don't really know, but Nosy said he disagrees. I'd like to know how.
My opinion is, from my experience, is that the nations that look dangerous are the ones that people don't want to attack. Now, there's exceptions, of course. I want to take out threatening nations. I know other players like Lucid want to deal with the threats, but I find often the big scary nation doesn't actually get a coordinated assault on them, or if they do, it happens too late.
I mean, like
I
the last game we played, Vish, we were Utgard, right?
Yeah, we were Utgard.
We were the big scary nation, and we got coalitioned by nearly everybody.
That happened too late. You were 2 nations in already.
It did happen quite early. Like, we were in mid game and 3 people were attacking us. You
had 2 nations under your belt already. You had 3 caps at that point.
We were at war with Alm, Hinnom, Alm and Hinnom at the same time. But yeah, the first war was I think our first war was fairly quickly. But one thing, Vish, in our games we usually don't get coalitioned despite our wins. Do you think that's because of diplomacy or because we're big and scary?
I think it's maybe because of diplomacy, but maybe also because good players tend to coalition more than bad players.
That's very fair. Grippa, how often do you coalition? Is Grippa back? You're at the
like the can you hear me?
yeah. There you go.
Okay. I don't like the coalition. I will do it if absolutely necessary, but I don't find a lot of Dominions for me is just trying to have fun with it, which does not necessarily mean that I always make quote unquote the right choice sometimes, which I have discovered other people believe. I always play to win, but I don't like to win by sailing on the backs of other people, which sounds weird. I'll coalition if it makes sense. Like Lucid's uploading Lemuria series right now. If they're not attacking Lemuria, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Because there are times to coalition, and that is absolutely when you coalition. But I don't like the coalition anytime early on in a game unless it's it makes like complete sense to. Like, oh, you want to jump on this Lemuria? That's it's turn 6. Yeah, sure. It's one thing, but for example, like Gazlov and Joe Brandon were thinking about attacking me.
That's just not nice.
I don't. Yeah, Mr. Elf. I don't really do that. So I don't think it's wrong that you do. I shouldn't. I'm not trying to like put you down if you do. I'm just saying personally, I don't like to play that way.
It's not your style.
Yeah. Can I jump
your
in?
style? Yeah, is that your
Okay.
style? What's your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think if anything, coalitions are sort of undervalued by the player base. So it's interesting to hear someone comment that they think the better players tend to do it more. I mean, when you think about it, consider trading. If you and another player are in a beneficial mutual trade, the both of you are pulling ahead of the other players, right? And when you consider that's just simple trading, if you are in an active coalition against players who are not, that, all things being equal, those are the people who are going to advance to the later phases of the game at the expense of everyone else. I'm always looking for coalition because if I'm in a coalition, then I'm not the one being coalitioned against.
Now
So-
let's, if I can interrupt real quick, because I think we need to kind of go in, because I think you're right. I think new players do coalition more, but who do they coalition against? When we're talking, like with Nosy, you're talking who are they coalitioning against? The better, like the strongest player or the weaker players?
If you're talking about better players coalitioning, they will coalition against a threat that they can't handle.
Okay, what are you talking about, Maz?
I'm talking about the same thing.
Okay,
I
so you
think
think
better players are the ones that are more likely to be in a coalition. And one other thing I'll add, I think people underestimate how hard it is to make a successful coalition work. I think there are some, in the earlier conversation here, there's some timing aspects to it that a lot of players just get wrong. One reason I like to see Scalaria in middle-aged games is because that's kind of starter kit coalitioning. You don't have to, the players don't need to think hard about how to assess the game state. They're in the game. You got to kill them. It's that simple. When? Right now. Whereas, the more advanced coalitioning, all the players need to think about, okay, when, how, who. It gets more complicated. And really getting all your ducks in a row in terms of who should be coalitioning against who and when is hard. So it's not surprising me that the better players do it.
Can I make a comment?
Oh yeah, go ahead, dude.
So I think coalitions happen a little too easily sometimes, and what people
Spoken
need to
like a true
understand.
LAN player. Sorry, keep
No,
going.
but people need to understand something is when you join a coalition, you are empowering your future enemies. These guys, you're going to have to fight them after this war. And if you're the one who takes all the losses and your coalition partners get all the spoils, well, you really got screwed. And so
Exactly.
it's very important that when you join a coalition, that you understand that there's a very high probability that you're going to be the odd man out.
Well, and I think that speaks to the skill set required in making a coalition work. I mean, I don't think that's at odds with what I'm saying at all. I think that sort of speaks to it.
Yeah, I think that everybody kind of is agreeing in their own way. And what's interesting is that you're seeing that the better players want to join a coalition, but at what point do you stop? I mean, like, do you want to utterly destroy the top player, or is there a position that you stop? And Nosy, I'm going to go with you because you've been in a couple games I know where a Cold War has developed because you keep knocking down the top player.
In terms of, so first I just want to get out of the way that I actually often don't end up being in a coalition because I want all the spoils, and if it's a matchup that I believe I can win on my own, I want to make sure that I've got peace on my other borders, and I want to get all the spoils. I don't want anyone else butting in. And in this particular game with Uber, it wasn't until I decided that there was going to be a coalition against me, and I wanted to make sure that I had an out for Uber. It wasn't until that point that I was happy to let Yomi in on the action there. So as far as dealing with knocking down top players and getting into cold wars, I'm not sure that I've got a good answer for that. That's a general sweeping one. It's really every game will be a little bit different, and I don't think I've been in enough situations where we've coalitioned against the top player, brought them down, and then had to deal with the enemy afterwards. Although perhaps the most recent example of that went my way because I just managed to steamroll a little bit further in and take thrones. But each situation will be a little bit different.
Well, let's move on to the fourth message. And this one's yours again, Nosy.
Well, okay, so what I was doing with messages was often I'd put a message in at the start of the turn, and then at the end of it, after having played it out and dealt with Diplo, or messages after Diplo had been done post completing the turn. Anyway, just basically as it says, change plans after talking with Uber on Discord. No longer pushing for that wasteland there. Continue expanding elsewhere. And yeah, just detailing that I got a bit of intel from him about where players were.
I'm assuming this wasteland, correct?
That wasteland right there. Yep.
How do you go back and look at your turn throughout the day, or is it just like a one session thing?
Depends. Sometimes I'll be thinking about the turn and decide, oh, I could do this or that or something or other, and I'll go back and have a look and then realize, oh no, I was right the first time because I can't do it, or stuff like that. If I have an idea and it turns out that I can execute the new idea, then maybe I'll make the change and modify it.
Vish, how long do your turns usually take?
It depends on the state of the game, but if it's late game, usually an hour plus, and if it's early game, like 5 minutes.
Do you go back and change it at all?
Yes, definitely for late game, but for early game, usually no.
When you're changing your turns, is it something because you went for a walk, you got some fresh air, and while you're thinking you change something, or is it diplomatic?
Usually it's just that the turns in the back of my head, and I realize, oh, maybe this move would be better than that move.
Yaslov, what about you? How much do you change your turns?
Oh, I change them all the time. I'll play my turn. I'll think about something will come to my memory. It's like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that, and I'll completely change things around. But that's usually a mid-game kind of behavior. Early game is generally pretty straightforward.
Grippa, what's your thoughts on changing turns?
Late game, I'll bounce. I usually like to leave it unfinished. So like the tournament roll, I'll usually hop on pretty quickly unless I'm at work. I'll do it for a while, and then I'll typically leave it unfinished and just mull it over for a few hours or so, and then come and finish it.
So Grippa, do you
Otherwise,
keep going?
like early game stuff, like before turn 15 or my first war, I'm typically like on and off like 10 minutes, 5 minutes even.
So do you keep your turn on unfinished until the turn timer runs?
No, I try to get it done before then.
Like 6 or 7 times in a single game?
Stop it.
Matt,
Never again.
what's Grippa, do you want to explain what happened there without saying any names?
If you really want to have people join your games again, make sure that what you do is decide that the full 36-hour turn timer is for you and never do the turns until the last 10 minutes. And also get extensions for about half the turns just because you don't want to do your turns then. It's a great experience to have 30 turns take 3 months.
Matt, have you ever done that where you kept your turn on unfinished until the turn timer ran?
Oh no, I try to be a good citizen about that.
Do you what's your do you go back and like do you modify your turns later?
I really tried not to, just because the dangers of second guessing yourself are worse than just leaving it alone. But one other thing I'd like to say, just sort of a tangent. There's a lot of things I love about Dominions, but one of the things I like about it is that I can spend a lot of time thinking about my turns when I'm not actively playing. And in a sense, I'm playing the game when I'm thinking about it. And it's a great way to take a little mini break for a lot of us who are working adults, and trying to make these really deep gaming experiences, have a place in our life still. Dominions, being able to think about a game when you're not actively in front of the game, is one of the ways to do that. It's just one thing I really like about that.
I think you make a good point too. A lot of the players that are more mature, they've got other things in their lives, they're busy. And so Dominions is a game, like you said, that you can take with you to work without a computer. When I was trying to find, something else that I could move on to, I found that Dominions is very unique in that, we can sit here and we can talk about a single aspect or a single move or a single strategy or a single bless, and we could do a 30-minute episode on just about anything. I mean, a single scale is, I think when I talked to you guys at the beginning, one of the things I say is I need to interrupt you because we could argue about a single scale for 30 minutes.
Water Indies.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Okay, we're at the 30-minute mark, and sadly, the good news is that I've only got 12 turns of this game, and then we're going to have to look at you guys' y'all's turn files. But I think we're going to come back and finish turn 7 when we come back, and probably try to finish turn 8 as well. So, Vitch, it was wonderful to have you join. So thanks for joining.
Yes, it was nice. Thanks for having me on. It was nice talking to you all.
Gazlav, thanks for joining up with us.
Thank you.
Grippa, wonderful to have you.
Always fun.
Missourian, thank you for joining.
It's great to be here.
Nosy, thank you for joining up with us.
Thanks again.
And we will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.